I woke up lying on a frozen river, and the cold was killing me. It was February 11th, 1985, just one day before the little New Year holiday. The temperature had to be around minus 20 degrees. My head was pounding, and when I touched the back of it, I found a big bump. Here's the thing, I'm not really who everyone thinks I am. My name is Yi Jifeng, and I come from the 21st century. I was a college student, just 6 months away from graduating. I went swimming during break, got a leg cramp in the deep end, felt something pulling me down, and the next thing I knew, I woke up here, in the body of another Yi Jifeng. The original owner of this body was 20 years old, but had the mind of an 8-year-old. She couldn't take care of herself. Her father was the village chief, and her family loved her deeply. They always gave her the best clothes and the best food. Her mother blamed herself for everything because she couldn't afford a hospital when giving birth, so the delivery went wrong, and the baby nearly died. That guilt made her spoil her daughter even more. But not everyone in the family was kind. The eldest brother's wife acted sweet to my face but talked behind my back all the time. Even her 4-year-old son, Xiao Yong, learned to be two-faced just like his mother. The reason I ended up on the ice was because of that little brat. He said he wanted fish and told me there were holes in the ice outside the village where people catch fish. So I followed him out there. Once we arrived, he ran off to play with the other village kids while I actually tried to catch fish like a fool. I slipped, hit my head on a frozen mound of snow, and passed out. When I woke up, everyone was gone. Xiao Yong had gone home hours ago and didn't say a single word about me. Whether he truly forgot or did it on purpose, I couldn't tell. But I had a strong feeling that the sister-in-law and her son wanted me gone. Too bad for them. The old Yi Jifeng might be dead, but I'm here now. I decided to keep pretending to be simple-minded. If everyone already sees me as a fool, then I'll use that to my advantage. Those who looked down on me and tried to harm me, they'll get what's coming to them. I dragged myself home with frozen shoes and ice crusted on my pants. Father was already worried and asking Xiao Yong where I went. The kid gave a half-truth, saying I wanted to catch fish by myself, and he just came home first. When I walked through the door, Mother rushed over. She saw my soaked shoes and frozen pants, and her eyes filled with tears. She pulled me inside, changed my clothes herself, washed my freezing feet with her own hands. When she found the bump on my head, she almost cried. I played my part and acted cute with her. "Mom, it hurts." Then the sister-in-law came in carrying a basin of hot water, but her attitude said it all. She set it down with a sour face and complained that I should let my brothers catch fish instead of going out myself. She was annoyed that the whole family treated me like a princess, while even her own son came second. I looked up at her and smiled like the fool she thought I was. "Sister-in-law, tomorrow is Little New Year. I want to eat fish. Lots and lots of fish." Mother immediately promised that my 2 brothers would go catch fish tomorrow. Whatever I wanted to eat, it would appear the next day. That was just how this family worked. I came first in everything. The sister-in-law hated that, and I could see it clearly. But that was fine. I could see everything clearly now. Let me tell you about my family. My eldest brother Yi Ziyuan is 27, and my second brother Yi Zhiheng is 22. I'm the youngest at 20, the one everyone calls slow in the head. Being the village chief's daughter has its perks. Our family is one of the better-off households in the village. We even have a black and white TV, something only a few families own. Since we haven't split the household, all 7 of us eat together. That evening dinner was pretty decent by village standards: sauerkraut with pork belly and glass noodles, stir-fried shredded potatoes, and cold pickled vegetables with mustard and radish strips. The main food was corn flatbread. But Mother put an extra bowl of brown sugar ginger water and a boiled egg in front of me. I could feel the sister-in-law and little Xiao Yong staring at my food with sour faces. Eggs are precious in the countryside. Most families sell theirs at the county market for money. But in our house, most of the eggs end up in my stomach. That's how they keep me looking fair and healthy. I picked up the egg and was about to crack it on the table when Mother snatched it from my hand. "Oh, my little ancestor. That's not for eating yet." She took the hot egg and rolled it over the bump on the back of my head. It hurt, but it's actually a good folk remedy for swelling. After rolling it around a few times, She tossed the egg back on the table. The shell was all cracked, and I peeled it and ate the whole thing without sharing. If I were a normal person, I should offer it to my parents or the little nephew. But I'm supposed to be someone with an 8-year-old's mind. Eating everything myself is exactly what I should do. Nobody's taking it from you, child. Now, drink your ginger water. You were out in the cold all day. Don't catch a cold. So there I was, eating a whole egg and drinking sweet ginger water while my 4-year-old nephew only had dry corn flatbread in his bowl. The whole family watched and said nothing. My eldest brother spoke up warmly. Xiaofeng, Mom told me you want fish. Tomorrow your big brother and second brother will go to the river and catch some for you. But don't go to that river outside the village anymore, okay? You make everyone worry. He's a good man, my eldest brother. He's the most educated in the family, finished high school, and could have taken the college entrance exam when they brought it back. But he stayed home for the family. Father helped him get a position as the village clerk, handling documents, notices, meeting records, and certificates for villagers. It suits him perfectly. Second brother is the opposite. He hated school, only finished middle school, and has been doing farm work ever since. You can tell just by looking at his muscular build that he's a hard labor kind of guy. I clapped my hands excitedly. Great. Big brother, I want braised fish and steamed fish. And if there are extra, we can keep them alive for New Year's dinner. Father just ate quietly without saying a word. The river fish aren't anyone's property. Anyone can try to catch them. But actually catching fish is harder than it sounds. If it were easy, villagers would have been selling fish at the market long ago. After dinner, the sister-in-law cleaned up alone in the kitchen, washing dishes and boiling water for the whole family. Meanwhile, I sat on the warm brick bed wrapped in a quilt, watching TV. I knew she was seething inside. 5 years she's been married into this family, doing housework alongside mother every single day. And here I am, clothes handed to me, food brought to me, never lifting a finger. Mother even washes my underwear for me. The sister-in-law must be wondering if she'll have to do all that for me someday when mother is gone. Back in their room, she couldn't hold it in anymore and started complaining to my brother. Ziyuan, your mother is so unfair. There are plenty of eggs at home, but she won't even give our son one. And that brown sugar ginger water. Our boy was outside playing in the cold all day too, but did she make him a bowl? Sometimes I wonder if you're even really part of this family. My eldest brother was busy winding fishing line, preparing for tomorrow. He actually knows a thing or two about fishing. Over the years, he learned which bait catches which fish. He was planning to bring some pork fat to use on the hooks, which works well for carp and crucian fish. But he got annoyed with his wife. How many times have I told you, stop comparing yourself to my sister? Missing one egg won't kill anyone. The kid eats plenty of meat. Are we short on food or clothes in this house? Before my dad became village chief, our family had nothing. Then my sister was born and he got elected. All these years, as long as my sister is safe and sound, Dad's position stays secure. Dad always says she's our family's lucky star. We can't mistreat her. I don't want to hear you talk like this again. The sister-in-law turned her back to him, refusing to argue further. Lucky star? She never believed in that nonsense. Just superstition. By 9 o'clock the whole village was dark and asleep, our house included. I slept next to Mother on the warm brick bed, under the nicest silk-covered quilt in the house. Lucky star or not, I didn't care about any of that. All I needed to do right now was eat, drink, and let everyone take care of me. The next morning I slept in until the sun was high. I was the only one still in bed with my blankets unfolded. The house was quiet except for voices coming from the kitchen, the sister-in-law chatting with Mother. Turns out the sister-in-law had been awake all night, scheming. She finally came up with a plan to get rid of me. Marry me off. If I were gone, the family would focus all their attention on her son instead of this useless girl who can't do anything. Mom, Xiaofeng will be 21 next year. She's at the right age for marriage. How about we find a matchmaker after New Year to look for a husband for her? She was feeling quite pleased with herself. She figured no normal family would want me, but I'm still a woman who can have children. A crippled man or a divorced man, someone would be willing to take me. I had just finished getting dressed when I walked to the kitchen doorway. The sister-in-law was trying to convince Mother to marry me off, and I wanted to hear what Mother had to say. Mother put down what she was doing right away. "Don't ever bring this up again," she said firmly. "When Xiaofeng was born, a monk came to our house begging for food. He said Xiaofeng is the family's lucky star. He said the Yi family would do better and better because of her, and that when she grows up, she's destined to attract wealth and noble people will help her. So stop worrying about Xiaofeng's future." The sister-in-law pursed her lips. Lucky star this, lucky star that. She didn't see it at all. All she saw was the whole family serving me hand and foot. I pushed the door curtain aside and walked in. Since today was the little new year, Mother and the sister-in-law were already preparing for tonight's dinner. There was a ball of dough on one side, a big basin of freshly chopped cabbage, and pork that still needed to be minced.
"Mom, I'm hungry."
"Is there anything to eat?" I went toward the big kitchen pot where they usually keep my breakfast warm. Mother rushed over before I could lift the lid. "Careful, the pot is hot. Go wash your hands and go back to the room. I'll bring the food to you." I pull my hand back. She wouldn't even let me lift a lid. That's just how she is. I washed my hands in the water basin nearby. I saw a yellowish towel hanging there, but decided to just shake my hands dry instead. The room wasn't that cold anyway. Mother set up the small table on the brick bed for me. Leftover sauerkraut stew with noodles from last night, a bowl of millet porridge made fresh just for me, and a corn flatbread. "Xiaofeng, I made this porridge specially for you. I was worried about you all night, kept checking if you had a fever. New Year is almost here, so stay inside and stop running around outside. If you want to watch TV, I'll turn it on for you. Honestly, this family treats me even better than my real family did in my past life." The TV was only black and white, but the shows were actually pretty good. "Mom, you're so good to me." I meant every word of that. I was also thinking that someday I need to find a way to pretend my condition got better. I can't live as a fool forever. Mother stroked my hair and smiled. Foolish or not, she always said I had a sweet mouth. She turned on the TV by the window, and I sat there eating breakfast and watching shows. I was easily the happiest person in this entire household. After breakfast, my two brothers took Xiaoyong and headed to the river with fishing gear. They were determined to catch fish today no matter what. Their little sister wanted fish, and that wish had to come true. Father wasn't resting either. As village chief, he had work to do even near the holidays. Every year around this time, the biggest worry was fire. Kids would throw firecrackers everywhere, and sometimes they'd land in someone's firewood stack. Once a stack catches fire, it's almost impossible to put out. You just watch it burn to nothing. And firewood is what keeps families warm through winter, so losing it is a disaster. Father walked through every street in the village, warning families with naughty kids to be careful. Out on the frozen river, there were at least 20 people fishing. Ice holes were scattered everywhere. My two brothers each claimed a hole, broke through the thin layer of ice that had formed overnight, and dropped their hooks baited with pork fat. Regular families would never waste pork fat as bait. That stuff is precious. But being the village chief's family, we could afford it. There's another kind of bait too, red worms that you scoop out from the ice holes. Those work almost perfectly for catching Christian carp. But you have to find the worms first, and that's not easy either. Xiaoyong squatted beside the hole, watching without blinking. Yesterday, when he came out here with me, we brought nothing. Trying to catch fish barehanded was just a fantasy. Suddenly, my eldest brother's line moved. He yanked it fast and pulled up a carp weighing about 1.5 pounds. "Dad, you're amazing. We actually caught a fish. We can eat fish tonight," Xiaoyong shouted excitedly. My eldest brother dropped the carp into the metal bucket they brought, and almost at the same time, second brother pulled up a Christian carp. Smaller, but still a fish. By midday, the bucket was completely full. The brothers couldn't believe it. In the past, they'd come out with the exact same tools and bait and spend a whole day catching only a handful of tiny fish, not even enough for everyone in the family to have one. But today the fish just kept biting. "Big brother," second brother said, "last night little sister said she wanted fish, and today we caught a whole bucketful. She even said if there are extra we should keep them alive for New Year." I'm telling you, our little sister really is the family's lucky star. I had no idea my mouth seemed to be blessed. Whatever I said had a way of coming true, more or less. No wonder my brothers treated me so well. Meanwhile, Father was finishing his rounds through the village. Most families were behaving, except for a few kids playing with loose firecrackers. After Father reminded them to stay away from the firewood stacks, they listened. Right then, someone came riding up on an old bicycle. It was the mail carrier, the person who delivers letters to our village. Village chief, hold on. There's a registered letter for you. It's from the capital city. You know, people in the capital. The mailman was just making conversation. He pulled a letter out of his green canvas bag and handed it over. Father took it and looked at the envelope. His name was written on it clearly, and the return address said it was from the capital. But Father had never been to the capital. He didn't know anyone there. He had no relatives in that city. He couldn't figure out who would be writing to him.
I don't know anyone there, he said.
He didn't open it right away. He just slipped the letter into his pocket. Home wasn't far. He'd read it when he got back. Father happened to run into my two brothers at the front gate. They were carrying a bucket full of fish, with Xiao Yong trailing behind holding the fishing gear. Dad, Xiao Yong mentioned yesterday that villagers fish at the river outside the village, but barely anyone catches anything, second brother said proudly. Little sister asked us to go today, and look, we caught all of these, Father nodded. He'd noticed over the years that whenever I casually said something, it had a strange way of coming true. It made him believe more and more in what that monk said years ago. Meanwhile, I'd been sitting in the room watching TV all morning. In my past life, I was always studying, barely had time to watch anything, just scrolled through short videos now and then. Now here I was, being waited on, fed, clothed, and hogging the only TV in the house. I felt a little guilty about it, honestly. When the brothers brought the bucket into the kitchen, Mother and the sister-in-law couldn't believe their eyes. People in the village went to that river all the time and came back with almost nothing. But here were my brothers with a whole bucket. Apparently after my brothers left, some villagers rushed over to try the same ice holes. They sat there with bait for hours and didn't catch a single fish. If only I'd picked those two holes first, one of them grumbled. Those brothers must have pulled every fish out of the river. The two tiny ones in my bucket aren't even enough for a bite. Second brother was beaming. Mom, little sister wants braised fish and steamed fish. Pick two to cook today, and big brother and I will put the rest in a wooden tub to keep alive for New Year. He was so happy. New Year was always his favorite time. Better food and firecrackers. And as long as I was safe and healthy, the whole family seemed to have good luck. When Father came inside, I walked over to him. Dad, you're back. Let me pour you some water. I handed him a warm cup in an enamel mug. He took it and looked at me for a moment. Something in his eyes told me. He noticed I was different. Before, the original owner of this body would sometimes talk to him when he came home, but she was never this polite. She'd never poured him water on her own before. I realized I'd slipped up a little. The original me didn't have memories of these tiny daily habits, so I couldn't know exactly how she used to behave. I wasn't trying to expose myself. It just happened. Father drank some water, set the mug down, and then pulled a letter out of his pocket. The return address said it was from the capital city, and his name was clearly written as the recipient. He still had no idea who sent it. He unfolded the letter and started reading line by line. His face grew darker and darker with every sentence. When he finished, he slammed his right hand down hard on the edge of the brick bed. I was dying to know what made him so angry. I almost reached for the letter, but then I stopped myself. The original me was basically at a second-grade reading level. She barely knew any characters. I couldn't give myself away over something like this. So instead, I cried. It wasn't hard to pull off, and it brought everyone running. Mother, the sister-in-law, eldest brother, second brother, all crowding into the room.
To see what was wrong with me.
Xiaofeng, why are you crying out of nowhere? Mother pulled me into her arms and held me like a little child. I understood why everyone panicked. Apparently the last time I cried, Grandpa died shortly after. The time before that, Grandma passed away. My crying was like a bad omen in this family. I stopped crying quickly. Dad was being scary just now, I said in my best childish voice. Father had been frightened by my tears too. He's over 50 and in good health, but for a second he must have wondered if my crying meant something terrible was about to happen to him. He relaxed when I explained. Xiaofeng, I wasn't angry at you. I was angry about this letter. Since everyone's here, I need to tell you all something. He didn't bother sending me out of the room. In his mind, I'm still a child who doesn't understand things like romance or marriage. Father walked to a wooden chest against the wall. It had a big padlock on it, and he was the only one who carried the key. Not even Mother had one. He took out a key ring from his waist, unlocked the chest, and dug around inside for a while before pulling out a yellowed envelope. It looked like it hadn't been touched in years. It even smelled moldy. "Dad, what is that?" eldest brother asked. "Read both of these letters," Father said, handing them over. To be honest, I had almost forgotten about this. But today the mailman brought this new letter, and now I don't know what to do. Father looked full of regret. He said if I were a normal person, this wouldn't be a problem. But with my condition, how could the other family possibly accept me? Eldest brother took both letters and read the old one first. His eyes went wide. It was an engagement agreement, a betrothal contract. The bride's name written on it was mine, along with my birth date and time. The groom's name was Pei Shouting, also with his birth details. Inside the envelope there was even a small silver lock. Eldest brother vaguely remembered seeing me wear it as a baby, but it had disappeared after that. Then he read the new letter from the capital. It was from the elders of the Pei family. They wanted me to come to the capital after the new year to spend time with this Pei Shouting, the man I was apparently engaged to since childhood. If things went well, they wanted us to get married. "Dad, when did you arrange this engagement for little sister? How come I never knew about it?" Eldest brother was confused. The contract was dated 15 years ago, and he would have been 12 at the time. Something this big in the family, he should have known. Second brother grabbed the letters next. His education was limited, but he could still read well enough. And there I was, the one this whole thing was actually about, pretending I couldn't read a single word. It was torture. I was clawing at the inside of my own mind, wanting to know exactly what those letters said. From what eldest brother said out loud, I pieced it together. A childhood engagement. Some man named Pei Shouting. The Pei family in the capital wanting me to go there after the holidays. They wanted me to marry a complete stranger. I didn't know if he was tall or short, fat or thin. I didn't know his family's background or what kind of person he was. How could I possibly agree to marry someone like that? But now is definitely not the time to reveal that I'd recovered. Better to keep playing the fool. "Big brother, what's a childhood engagement? Is it something yummy? Have you tried it before?" I had to say something like that. After all, I'm supposed to be a fool. The sister-in-law smiled awkwardly. Actually, she and eldest brother were also matched through a childhood engagement. Their families had been close for generations, so when they grew up, getting married was just the natural thing to do. They had Xiao Yong soon after. Then Father finally told us the story from 15 years ago. It was the summer of 1970. Heavy rain went on for days, and the river outside the village flooded. Water swallowed the houses and farmland. As village chief, I got orders from above to evacuate everyone, but some villagers refused to leave their homes. By the time the army sent soldiers to help with rescue, the floodwater had risen almost to the tops of the windows. I was the only one who knew every household situation, so I went with the soldiers door to door. I grew up here. I've been swimming in that river since I was a kid. I can hold my breath underwater longer than most people. When we reached the last few houses, we pulled out an elderly couple from the west side of the village. The army commander took off his own life jacket and gave it to them. But on the boat ride back, the commander went missing. I was the one who jumped in and pulled him out of the water. A few more minutes and he would have been dead. I was completely absorbed listening to this. None of this was in the original owner's memories. Old man, that year when the flood hit, Ziyuan was stuck at the county school and couldn't get home. Mother said anxiously. How come I never knew any of this happened? It turned out Father had never told the family. So we all waited for him to continue. I'm the village chief. Am I supposed to tell you every little thing? You had already taken Jiheng and Xiaofang to safety with the other villagers. Was I supposed to just ignore the soldiers who were risking their lives for our people? Later I found out those soldiers hadn't slept for 3 days and 3 nights. When they got hungry, they just ate a bite of compressed biscuit. Even the commander led by example. The man I saved turned out to be some high-ranking officer. I never found out exactly what rank. When he learned I had a 5-year-old daughter, he insisted on arranging a childhood engagement between his third son and my girl as repayment for saving his life. He sent this silver lock from the capital afterward. It's been so long I nearly forgot about the whole thing. So now the whole family finally knew. Father had arranged an engagement for me 15 years ago, and even Mother had no idea. He'd kept it completely secret. Second brother's temper flared up. Dad, so now the Pei family is writing to say they want little sister to go to the capital, spend time with this guy, and then pick a wedding date. But with her condition. He couldn't finish the sentence. When I was 5, my mind was still normal. Nobody could have predicted I would stop developing. Old man, Xiaofang can't get married in her state, Mother said firmly. We can afford to take care of her. Let's just break off this engagement. Father looked at me sitting there with a blank expression on my face. He sighed. Breaking off the engagement was the only choice. Our family simply wasn't a good match for theirs. Not like this. From now on, Xiaofang isn't going anywhere. We'll take care of her for the rest of her life. But we still need to handle this properly. After the new year, Father looked at eldest brother, then at second brother. He couldn't go to the capital himself, it wouldn't look right. Eldest brother was the village clerk, needed for all kinds of official work. So the job fell to second brother. Spring plowing didn't start until mid-April when the ground thawed, so there was plenty of time. Zhiheng, after the 6th day of the new year, take your sister to the capital. Return the engagement contract and the silver lock. When your grandmother made Xiaofang a red belly wrap as an engagement gift, I sent it to the other family, bring that back too. Explain the situation properly. I believe they'll agree to cancel the engagement. Father made his decision quickly. Everyone accepted it, except the sister-in-law, who seemed unhappy. In her mind, even if I was slow, an engagement made in childhood shouldn't be broken so easily. I quietly gave Father full marks in my heart. He was truly looking out for me. Even if he hadn't decided to cancel it, I would have found a way to do it myself. Now, he's saved me the trouble. Dad, I'll do whatever you say, second brother said. Big brother and I will take care of little sister for the rest of our lives. That was the brother's promise to our parents. I didn't get to read the letters myself, but I'd heard enough to understand everything. All I had to do now was wait until after the spring festival, and then I'd be going to the capital. I couldn't help wondering what the capital looked like in 1985 compared to the version I knew from the future. That afternoon, the whole family got busy preparing dinner for little New Year's Eve. I joined in and tried wrapping dumplings. Back in my past life, I only made dumplings during Spring Festival. The rest of the year, I was too busy studying. Mom, look at my dumpling. Isn't it pretty? It was not pretty. Everyone else's dumplings looked like little gold ingots, standing up nice and neat. Mine flopped over the second I set it down. Auntie, even I can wrap dumplings better than you, Xiaoyong said smugly. And he was right. The 4-year-old's dumplings actually looked better than mine. I can do it. Let me try one more. It'll be better this time, I insisted stubbornly. But Mother and the sister-in-law cut me off. Xiaofang, forget the dumplings. Go peel a head of garlic and put it on the table, so even the Yi family thought my dumplings were hopeless.
Fine.
Garlic duty it is. The little New Year's Eve dinner was the most wonderful meal I'd had since arriving. Besides several plates of dumplings, there was braised fish, steamed fish, chicken stewed with mushrooms, and fried peanuts. It was the most lavish spread this family had seen in a long time. Auntie, today my dad and second uncle were so amazing. They caught so many fish. But yesterday you couldn't even catch one, Xiaoyong said, half bragging about his father and half putting me down. My eyes rolled as an idea popped into my head. Xiaoyong, if you and I both fell into the river at the same time, who do you think big brother and second brother would save first? Oh, that classic deadly question from the future. It really tests where people's hearts are. And unlike the original me, I actually know how to swim. Xiaoyong is only 4 years old, so he doesn't have the complicated thinking adults do. The only thing he hears most is his mother saying she doesn't like me. In the sister-in-law's mind, if I weren't around, the family wouldn't be laughed at by the villagers. Let me explain how everyone found out about my condition. Back in first grade, the original me could handle addition and subtraction within 20. But once second grade came and the numbers went up to 100, the teachers couldn't get through to her no matter how hard they tried. Chinese class was even worse. She could memorize the first line of a poem, but never the second. Eventually, all the classmates started avoiding her. When everyone else moved up to third grade, she scored single digits in both math and Chinese on her final exams. The family had no choice but to take her home. Even when eldest brother and second brother tried teaching her themselves, she still couldn't learn. Over time, her behavior became noticeably different from normal people. That's when the family realized her mind had a real problem. After that, village kids started calling her Little Fool. At first, my brothers would argue or even fight with anyone who said that. But they couldn't stop everyone. Then one day, the original me suddenly said, "I'm not a fool. I just can't learn what's in books. Anyone who calls me a fool will get sick." Within days, kids who had made fun of her started falling ill one after another. Some got fevers that wouldn't go away. Some had colds with runny noses that wouldn't stop. Others had stomach pains so bad they rolled on the ground screaming. Even the village doctor couldn't help them. Their families had to take them all the way to the county hospital, and every single family spent a lot of money on treatment. After that, my brothers never bothered arguing with people anymore. They learned the rule. Whenever their little sister was unhappy, someone would have bad luck. So when I asked my deadly question at dinner about who they'd save first, both brothers glanced at each other. They both knew the answer. They'd save me first. Xiaoyong looked left, looked right, and waited. Nobody answered him. He lowered his head, clearly figuring it out on his own. "Auntie, I can swim, so I don't need anyone to save me. You've never been able to swim, so if you fall in the river, let my dad and second uncle save you first." Smart kid. Even a 4-year-old understands self-awareness. I chewed my dumplings and searched through the original owner's memories. She really never learned to swim her entire life. But I can. The next day, tons of villagers showed up at the frozen river with fishing gear, all because they heard about the bucket of fish my brothers caught. Everyone hoped to have a good haul for Spring Festival. But no matter how hard they tried, almost nobody caught anything decent. One fish weighing a pound was considered a big deal. Meanwhile, I fully settled into my role as the Yi family princess. Hungry?
Eat. Full? Sleep.
The whole family was busy preparing for the holiday, but none of it had anything to do with me. It's not that I didn't want to help. Every time I tried, I just made things worse. Eventually, they told me to sit in the room and watch TV. Now, let me tell you about the Pei family over in the capital. They live in a private courtyard inside a military compound. The father, the man my dad saved during the flood, had been a battalion commander back then. Over the years, he'd climbed to brigade commander. The Pei family has 3 sons and 1 daughter. The eldest son, Pei Xiaojun, is 28 and serves as a battalion commander. He's completely devoted to his work, turns down every woman who shows interest, and is still single. The second son, Pei Xiaowu, is 25 and a company commander. He's obsessed with surpassing his older brother and spends almost all his time training at the base. The one I'm supposedly engaged to is the third son, Pei Xiaoding. He's 23 and was recently promoted from platoon leader to company commander. Once he got that promotion, his father decided the boy was finally at a respectable enough rank to marry the daughter of the man who saved his life. That's why he wrote that letter to my father. The youngest in the family is Pei Xiaoning, an 18-year-old girl in her last year of high school, getting ready for the college entrance exam in summer. "Old Pei," the mother said while peeling an apple, "you arranged this engagement for Xiaoding years ago, but we don't even know what this girl looks like now. Will she be willing to marry into our family?" With Xiaoding's carefree attitude, I'm worried the whole thing might fall apart. She handed the peeled apple to her husband. "The Yi family should have received my letter by now," the father replied. "I should have gone to bring the girl here myself, but the army keeps me too busy. I told them in the letter to come after the new year. When you get a chance, prepare 2 guest rooms. Maybe the girl's father will come along too. That man saved my life all those years ago. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have even lived to see Xiaoning born." The mother shuddered at the memory. When her husband was sent to help with flood rescue, she was 9 months pregnant. She worried constantly until their daughter was safely born. Her husband didn't come home until 2 weeks later, carrying a betrothal contract and a child's red belly wrap. That's when she learned how close she'd come to becoming a widow. "All right," the mother said. "Let's not tell Shouting about this yet. Wait until they arrive. What if he actually likes the girl? Then everything works out perfectly." The Pei family had done well over the years. They'd moved from basic military row housing to their own private courtyard with neatly built rooms. Anyone who visited would admire it. A few days later, New Year's Eve arrived. My family dressed me in brand new clothes from head to toe, new underwear, new outer layers, new shoes. I was honestly a little embarrassed by all the attention. "Xiaofeng," father said to me, "after the holiday on the 7th day, your second brother will take you to the city to visit relatives. Have fun, but remember, no place is as good as home. When you're at the relative's house, listen to your second brother about everything. If you don't understand something, ask him. Okay?" Father lied to me on purpose. He figured there was no point explaining the concept of breaking off an engagement to someone with an 8-year-old's mind. Better to just call it visiting relatives. I felt the love behind every word. If this trip to cancel the engagement goes smoothly, I decided I'd tell my family I was cured when we got back. Then, I could help everyone build a better life. There has to be more money to be made than just farming the land. "Dad, aren't you all coming with us? I saw on TV that the city has tall buildings and cars that move by themselves. I've never ridden in a car before. God, talking like a simpleton is exhausting. I really need to drop this act soon. Not this time. Someday the whole family will go to the city together. For now, if you see something you like, tell your second brother and he'll buy it for you." Father was planning to use this trip as a chance for second brother to show me around the capital and buy me nice things. Even with the engagement business to deal with, he wanted his daughter to enjoy herself. On New Year's Day, I woke up late again. When I opened my eyes, I saw several older men sitting in the room chatting quietly with father. They had come to pay their New Year's respects. I couldn't blame myself for sleeping in. Last night was New Year's Eve, and I watched the entire Spring Festival Gala from start to finish, the most carefully I'd ever watched one. Some of the famous performers on that stage would pass away in the years to come. Only now could I actually see them perform live on television. After the show, my brothers dragged me outside to set off firecrackers. We lit 2 strings of 200 firecrackers each, and I covered my ears the whole time. By the time I finally crawled into bed, it was past 1 in the morning. So there I was, caught in bed on New Year's Day with guests in the house. I wanted to disappear into the ground. Thankfully, Mother came in, pulled me out of bed, and helped me get dressed. "Xiaofeng, get dressed and go greet everyone. After that, I'll bring you breakfast." Mother put me in my warm new clothes and braided my hair into 2 pigtails tied with red ribbons at the ends. I have to admit, after she was done with me, I looked really pretty. If you just saw me standing there without talking, you'd never guess there was anything wrong with my mind. Good thing the original owner had memories of all these uncles and elders. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known what to call any of them. I went around bowing and greeting each person properly, and they all praised me. "Village chief, your Xiaofeng seems a lot sharper than before," one of them said. Last year, she couldn't even remember who I was. This year she got everything right, and her eyes look much brighter too. I lowered my head quickly. Mother said a few polite words and pulled me out of the room. She was right to worry. Acting foolish in my speech was one thing, but the look in my eyes was harder to fake. I couldn't quite manage that vacant, empty stare the original owner always had. Before breakfast, I went around to find my family members I hadn't greeted yet. "Happy New Year, big brother." "Happy New Year, sister-in-law." "Happy New Year, second brother." My words came out crisp and clear, and I had a big smile on my face. "Happy New Year, Xiaofeng," second brother said, cracking sunflower seeds. If it weren't for the rule about not waking family members by name on New Year's Day, we would have dragged you out of bed ages ago. Then I held out my hand. Here's the thing, since I arrived in this body, I'd searched through every single pocket in the original owner's clothes while the family was busy. Not one coin. Not even a single fun. And a fun can still buy a few pieces of candy. The original me was truly pitiful. Even 4-year-old Xiaoyong had a few coins. I was the only person in this house with absolutely zero money. My brothers and sister-in-law just stared at my outstretched hand without moving. I pouted. Everyone else gets lucky money for New Year. I want lucky money too. If big brother and second brother don't give me any. I didn't need to finish that sentence. Everyone knew what came after wouldn't be anything good. Second brother, who was closest to me, quickly slapped his hand over my mouth. Little sister, please, it's New Year's Day. Don't go cursing your brothers.
Xiaofeng, wait.
I actually had your lucky money ready the whole time. You just hadn't gotten out of bed yet. Second brother reacted fast, spinning around and running to his room. Eldest brother was quicker. He pulled 2 1 yuan bills from his pocket and held them out. But I didn't take them. 2 yuan? That's it? Too easy. Second brother came back holding a single 1 yuan bill, proudly calling it my specially prepared lucky money. Now, in this era, distant relatives and neighbors give 1 or 2 mao for lucky money. Close relatives give 5 mao or 1 yuan. Families with better conditions might give 2 yuan. 5 yuan would be considered a huge amount. Big brother, second brother, I said, twisting the corner of my shirt. I remember that in my whole life you've never once given me lucky money. Shouldn't you make up for all the years you missed? Because if I'm not happy, who knows what might come out of my mouth? That was the real threat. The original owner rarely spoke, but whenever she did, good or bad, her words had a way of coming true. I wanted to test if that was really the case. Little ancestor, you're going to be the death of us. Wait here. Both brothers turned and went back to their rooms. The sister-in-law followed eldest brother into theirs. Ziyuan, I feel like your sister is smarter than before, she said sourly. How much are you planning to give her? Eldest brother pulled a book from the drawer. His salary was tucked inside. He earns 35 yuan a month as the village clerk. He took out the whole amount. Ziyuan, are you even listening to me? You can't give her your entire month's salary. That's way too much. No matter how much the sister-in-law protested, eldest brother walked out with all 35 yuan. The family isn't broke, he figured. They could just save a little more this month. Second brother works in the production team and earns about 30 yuan a month based on work points. He came out holding 3 10 yuan bills, his full month's wages too. I took every single bill without a hint of shame. The reason I wanted money wasn't greed. I needed cash for the trip to the capital with second brother. After we canceled the engagement, I was planning to find some kind of business to start. Whether I'd come back to the Yi family afterward was something I'd figure out later. Staying here doing housework with a sister-in-law, raising chickens and ducks, that's not the life I want. Thank you, big brother and second brother, for the lucky money. I wish you both a smooth year ahead and good health. After I walked away, second brother turned to eldest brother with a puzzled look. Big brother, since when can little sister use 4-character idioms? Did you teach her that? It was a fair question. Eldest brother is the most educated person in the family. Eldest brother shook his head. She probably picked it up from watching TV. But still, hearing it come out of her mouth, that's not easy. Later that day, my parents found out about the lucky money my brothers gave me. They quietly slipped me another 35 yuan. Just like that, I had 100 yuan in my hands. Xiaofeng, keep this money safe. Spend what you need to spend and save what you can. Mother still carried that old guilt. She always believed she owed me for bringing me into this world with a broken mind. That guilt had made her treat me like a treasure my whole life, no matter how many cold stares we got from others. After eldest brother gave me that 35 yuan, the sister-in-law's face turned sour and stayed that way. She couldn't stand the sight of me. At dinner that night, she finally couldn't hold it in. Xiaofeng, I'm your sister-in-law after all, so let me speak my mind. In all the years I've been married into this family, your big brother has never once given lucky money to my side of the family. You're a grown woman asking your brothers for lucky money, and what would you even do with it? You don't know how to spend money. Someone will probably trick you out of every last coin. I knew she was upset, but there was no way I was giving that money back. I might not even return to this village after the trip to the capital. Without money, I can't do anything. I gave her my best clueless look. Sister-in-law, I know how to spend money. Xiaoyong took me to the village shop today with his lucky money. Look, he gave me these snap crackers. I pulled a few tiny firecrackers wrapped in gunpowder paper from my pocket, the kind you throw on the ground and they pop. Mother snatched them out of my hand, marched to the door, and tossed them outside. They crackled on impact. She came back looking serious. Xiaofeng, girls shouldn't play with dangerous things like that. What if they went off in your pocket and hurt you? Don't play with those anymore. And Xiaoyong, if you want to play with them, play by yourself. Don't give them to your auntie. Actually, I'd spent most of the day following Xiaoyong around the village. I went with him to pay New Year visits to some elders. But since I'm an adult, nobody gave me candy. Xiaoyong's pockets, on the other hand, were stuffed full of sweets. The snap crackers were something Xiaoyong bought at the village shop with his own lucky money. He gave me a box, and I threw a few like he showed me, but I kept the rest in my pocket. And sure enough, they came in handy. They changed the subject at dinner perfectly. Xiaoyong sat there eating quietly. Earlier in the day, he tried to trick me into giving him my lucky money. But I wasn't stupid. I didn't hand over a single coin. Even when he claimed he had no money to pay for things at the shop, I kept my hands firmly in my pockets. Later we ran into some village kids, and one of them was playing with loose firecrackers. Xiaoyong got a mischievous idea and had a kid throw a firecracker near me to scare me. But I lived over 20 years in the future. A little bang wasn't going to frighten me. Not only did I not cover my ears, I actually asked for some firecrackers to play with myself. When Xiaoyong expected my fingers to get blown apart, I showed him what real nerve looks like. I lit one and held it calmly, waiting until the fuse was just about to reach the cracker before flicking it into the air. It exploded above the kids' heads and scared them half to death. Xiaoyong was stunned. In previous years, the original me would run and hide at the first sound of firecrackers. Now I wasn't afraid at all. He probably wanted to tell the family about it, but he knew nobody would believe a 4-year-old. The next day, second brother went out after breakfast to buy 2 train tickets to the capital. We live in the countryside, so the trip would go like this. Take a small bus to the county, transfer to another vehicle to the city, then catch a train from the city to the capital. Xiaofeng, your second brother went to buy train tickets, Mother said while standing behind me, dipping a comb in water and carefully combing my hair. I don't know how many days you'll be gone. I'll pack some extra clothes for you. Your brother can wash them for you there. But braiding your hair, your brother is too clumsy for that. I looked at myself in the mirror with my 2 braids. My hair was incredibly thick, twice the volume I had in my past life, and jet black. I actually prefer a simple ponytail, but I'm still playing the part of a helpless fool who needs others to do everything for her. Xiaofeng, when you're outside, stay close to your second brother at all times. Keep your valuables on you. If strangers talk to you, don't answer them. If anything happens, let your second brother handle it. Listen to him about everything. Understand, Mother was so worried about me going to the capital. At least second brother would be with me. Mom, I understand. I'll listen to second brother about everything. Honestly, I found it a bit ridiculous. In my past life, I traveled to different cities all the time. After starting college, I went to plenty of places alone. Was I really going to get kidnapped by human traffickers in 1985? If that happened, I'd have wasted 2 lifetimes. During the day, Xiaoyong dragged me outside again. As a grown woman with an 8-year-old's mind, he was the only person in the village willing to hang out with me. No adults wanted to play with the village fool. Auntie, some women who married out of the village are back visiting their families today. I'll introduce you to some new friends. I heard some of them moved to the county. Their families are really rich. I didn't know what Xiaoyong was planning, but I had my own ideas. These so-called new friends were most likely the same kids who used to bully the original me. Some of them were around 10 or older now, probably in middle school. I followed behind him slowly. Before I left this village, I wanted to get some payback for what the original me went through. My plan was simple: take every last coin of their lucky money. For kids, lucky money is a big deal. Their parents say it belongs to the children, but it always ends up getting taken back by the adults eventually. Soon we arrived at the village threshing ground, a big open space where families dry their grain in autumn. The rest of the year, everyone comes here to hang out because it's wide and flat. As soon as we got there, Xiaoyong was surrounded by a group of kids and completely forgot about me. I looked around. There were about 20 local village children plus a handful of kids who came with the visiting married women. A few of them kept stealing glances at me. If I weren't playing the fool, I'd never waste my time with a bunch of little brats. But being a clear-headed person trapped inside a fool's body had its advantages. Xiaoyong, you said your auntie took your dad's and second uncle's lucky money? We'll help you get it back. Just buy us some snacks afterward, one kid suggested. That was exactly what Xiaoyong wanted. The night before, his mother had given him an important mission: find a way to get my lucky money away from me. That way, the adults could say they did give me money, but I just couldn't keep hold of it. Nobody's fault but mine. The kids crowded around me with nasty grins on their faces. They knew I was the village fool with an 8-year-old's mind, so they figured this would be easy. Little dummy, we heard you got lucky money for New Year. How much did you get? Take it out and let's see who is more. I acted like the word dummy didn't bother me at all. I just stared at the boy who spoke with my best blank expression. He was about 10 years old. He pulled out a whole handful of bills from his pocket. 1 yuan, 2 yuan, 5 yuan, plus smaller ones like 5 mao, 1 mao, 5 fun, 2 fun. That was a lot of money for a kid. I was a bit surprised. I thought relatives usually only gave a few fun or mao. This boy had done well for himself. He waited for me to show my money, but I had nothing on me. Before leaving the house, I'd hidden all my lucky money at home. If I lost it outside, that would be a real problem for my future plans. Where's your money, dummy? Xiaoyong said you got a lot. The boy pointed at Xiaoyong, who just shrugged like it was no big deal. It was true, after all. Then I made my move. My money is at home. Didn't Xiaoyong tell you? I'm going to the capital in a few days. I'll be there for a while. I heard the big city has all kinds of things for sale. Snacks we've never tried, things from TV shows, plastic toy soldiers that cost just a few mao for a whole bag, building blocks, electric toys. Do you want me to bring some back for you? I said it with complete sincerity. I talked about everything I'd seen on TV, things none of these kids had ever laid eyes on. Their whole plan fell apart instantly. They had come to take my lucky money for Xiaoyong and get free snacks out of it. But now all they could think about was the toys from the capital. The group got excited. Xiaoyong, is she telling the truth? How come you're not going to the capital too? None of these kids had ever been farther than the county or the city. Nobody in these families had money for travel. Getting enough food on the table was hard enough. Xiaoyong nodded. He'd heard the adults talking about me going to the capital to cancel some engagement. He didn't understand what that meant, but he knew I'd be going with second uncle and coming back afterward. Only my second uncle is taking my auntie, he said, lifting his chin proudly. When I grow up, I'll go to the capital too. I waited patiently. From a kid's point of view, this was too tempting to resist. The village shop had a few cheap toys, but nothing exciting. The good stuff was too expensive and nobody bought it. Dummy, I want a handheld game console. But if I give you money, will you actually bring it back? The older boy asked suspiciously. He wanted that toy badly. His family had always refused to buy it for him. I held up 3 fingers like I was making a solemn oath. If you trust me, give me the money. I'll buy whatever you want and bring it back. You can pick it up from Xiaoyong. But this stays between us. Don't tell your parents. If your parents come to my house and take the money back, then I can't buy anything for you. That logic made perfect sense to them. No money, no toys. The kids huddled together to discuss. I didn't mind waiting. I took the chance to look around at the scenery. Everything here was so natural, no chemicals, no artificial anything. In just the few days since I arrived, I'd fallen in love with the food here. Every bite of vegetables actually tasted like vegetables. Maybe being stuck in this backward era wasn't so bad. After their meeting, I noticed a few kids run off toward home. Were they going to tattle on me? The older boy walked over. Dummy, if you cheat us, we'll go straight to your parents. We'll give you the money, but can you even remember what everyone wants? These kids were sharp. But having me write down a list would blow my cover. The original me barely knew any characters and could only do math under 20. I can buy your stuff, but you need to remember what you asked for yourselves. Just go to Xiaoyong to pick it up. Don't expect me to memorize each person's order. I had more patience with these little brats than I expected. Xiaoyong even volunteered as the middleman, which was interesting. I didn't know if the other kids would turn on him later, but honestly, he had it coming. He was the one who led the original me out to the frozen river that day and left me there to die. He had no intention of looking after her. He deserved some consequences. Then the older boy handed me his entire fistful of cash. Dummy, this is about 30 yuan. That's everything I have. Buy me a cheap game console from the capital. My eyes went wide. 30 yuan from a kid? This boy was loaded. Must be nice being rich. After him, the other kids lined up and emptied their pockets one by one. Some gave 5 mao, some gave about 5 yuan. It wasn't a fortune, but I wasn't complaining. The ones who'd run home came sprinting back, not even out of breath. These village kids had incredible stamina from running around outside all day. I roughly remembered what everyone wanted. Game console, trading cards, electric toys, picture books, plastic soldiers, bubblegum, chocolate. The rest of you just said bring snacks, so I'll pick whatever looks good. Before leaving, I made sure to say one last thing. I'm taking this money, but remember, you gave it to me on your own. Nobody forced you. If your parents come asking for it back, then no toys. The important part was those first 2 sentences. I didn't ask for the money. They gave it to me willingly. Asking and giving are 2 completely different things. On the way home, even 4-year-old Xiao Yong pulled 2 yuan out of his pocket and handed it over. Andy, I only have 2 yuan left. When you're in the capital, just pick something good for me. Well. I thought the little guy was broke. Turns out he was holding out on me. I took his 2 yuan without hesitation. I hadn't counted all the money yet. Doing math in front of everyone would give me away. I'd wait until I got home and count it in private. My guess was there had to be close to 100 yuan in there. Back home, I snuck into the room and counted the money from the kids twice. First count, 98 yuan, 5 mao, and 3 fun. I couldn't believe it was that much, so I counted again. Same number. Combined with my original 100 yuan, I now had close to 200 yuan, a real startup fund. If I could make it to the capital, I could definitely do something with this money. I wrapped everything together in a handkerchief and decided to ask Mother to sew a hidden pocket inside my coat, one with a button, so nothing could fall out. Second brother got home almost at dark. He'd gone to buy train tickets and didn't expect the crowd. The first thing he did was grab the water ladle and drink half of it straight down. He hadn't had a single sip of water all day. Dad, Mom, I thought nobody would be buying tickets during the holiday. But the station was packed, people everywhere, long lines at every window. Good thing I used the bathroom before getting in line, because I stood there for 5 hours straight. Next time someone can kill me before I take the train anywhere. Just buying tickets nearly wore me out. But I got 2 hard-seat tickets to the capital. The train leaves on the 7th at 10 in the morning. We probably won't arrive until 8 or 9 at night. He pulled 2 tickets from his inner coat. Train tickets in this era aren't tied to names, but you still need one to board. Eldest brother took them and looked. 28 yuan for 1 hard seat? That's almost a whole month's salary. Second brother snatched them back and tucked them away safely.
Tell me about it.
2 tickets cost 56 yuan. I thought 50 would be enough, but Dad gave me 100 this morning. He said he'd cover the travel costs both ways. Second brother explained all this so eldest brother wouldn't have any complaints. Both brothers live at home and eat at home, only paying a small amount for food each month. In most families that haven't split households, the elders control all the money. But our family is different. Father lets the sons keep their earnings. I ate my dinner without a care in the world. Meanwhile, across the village, parents were doing exactly what I predicted, trying to take back their children's lucky money. Every household had the same excuse. Adults will keep it safe for you. Where did you put your lucky money? Your grandpa, grandma, uncles, everyone gave you money. You can't keep it yourself, you'll lose it. That's right, hand it over to your mother. Children don't need pocket money, but those kids had already given everything to me, and they remembered what I said. If their parents took the money back, no toys from the capital. So they needed to hide the truth. Mom, Dad, let me keep it a few more days. The kids in the village are comparing who has the most lucky money right now. The loser has to buy everyone snacks. The boy with the 30 yuan made it sound perfectly believable, and his parents dropped the subject. They figured the money would come back to them in a day or 2 anyway. Fine, but keep it safe. If you lose it, I'll beat you. Every kid gets hit growing up in the countryside. Disobey your parents, and you get chased with a broom handle. That's just how it works. Amazingly, not a single child told their parents they'd given the money to me, the village fool. Xiao Yong helped by confirming that yes, his auntie really was going to the capital soon. That evening, Mother started packing clothes for my trip. The temperature was still around -10 here, and even the capital would be near freezing, so I'd need my padded coat. But she packed extra outer clothes just in case. Xiaofeng, here are 4 sets of outer clothes. Underwear, socks, and your monthly supplies are all in there too. Let your second brother wash things for you. The water's too cold in winter. I don't want your hands getting chapped. And your money, I'll sew a pocket inside. Your coat, so you can keep it close. Under the dim lamp, I lay on my pillow watching TV while Mother sat beside me stitching a secret pocket into my padded coat. The original me never had a single coin, so there was never any need for an inside pocket. The outer pockets were really just for warming her hands. I started thinking about this trip. There was a real chance I might not come back here. Even after breaking off the engagement, I was planning to stay in the capital and find work. Make some real money. Mom, if I make a lot of money someday, I'll bring you all to live in the capital. Mother paused for a second, then went back to sewing. She probably thought I was just repeating something I heard on TV. She'd noticed lately that I loved watching television and liked copying what the characters said. In her mind, I had no idea what those words actually meant. She didn't answer. She just kept sewing one careful stitch after another. Watching her, a famous poem came to my mind, thread in the hands of a loving mother, sewn tightly stitch by stitch before departure, afraid her child will be slow to return. Over these past days, I'd noticed that many villagers wear patched-up clothes. Even in our family, only my clothes are completely free of patches. Second brother's work clothes, the sister-in-law's outfits hanging on the line. All of them have patches. This family gave the original me everything they had. Since I'm here now, I can't repay their kindness right away. But someday when I've made something of myself, I'll take care of these parents and both brothers properly. The night before we left, Mother called second brother into the room for final instructions. Zhiheng, this canvas bag has your sister's 4 sets of outer clothes, plus underwear and everything else. You carry it for her. The engagement contract and silver lock are inside too. When you're out there, take care of your sister at all times. If anything happens to her, don't bother coming home. If there's trouble, call the village. I had already tucked my nearly 200 yuan into the hidden pocket Mother sewed inside my coat, wrapped tight in the handkerchief. Spending money on the road would be second brother's job anyway. He'd never let me pay for anything. Father handed second brother another 100 yuan. This is for the return trip. Once the engagement is cancelled, come straight home. The city is expensive, save where you can. Second brother nodded seriously. Dad, Mom, I'll take good care of her. We'll cancel the engagement and come right back. And just like that, the day of departure arrived. It was still dark when my parents woke me up. Even in winter, they get up around 5 in the morning. I never understood why. There's no fieldwork waiting in this cold. Why can't they just sleep until they naturally wake up? Xiaofeng, get up. Your second brother already finished breakfast. Have some porridge first. Today you're taking the train to the capital. I opened my eyes and clearly hadn't slept enough. It was pitch black outside, and the dim room light was already on. I checked the time. Only 5:30. Normally, I sleep until 7 or 8. These past days have spoiled me. I sat up stretching and immediately felt the cold air hit me through my thin undershirt. Mother grabbed my padded coat that had been warming near the bed and pulled it onto me before I could even shiver properly. She dressed me, put on my shoes, and braided my hair into 2 pigtails again. She really is obsessed with those braids, but I have to admit my hair looks much neater after she does it. In the kitchen, second brother had already eaten. A bowl of millet porridge sat cooling on the table for me, along with a corn flatbread and a plate of pickled vegetables. While I ate, Mother handed second brother a canvas bag and another smaller bag. Zhiheng, this bag is your sister's. I packed some boiled eggs, a few sugar flatbreads, and a water bottle filled with warm water. Take these for the road. Once she finishes eating, you two head out. Mother had been up since 4 o'clock. She boiled the porridge with eggs inside. By the time the porridge was done, the eggs were ready too. Then she made sugar flatbreads, my favorite. Everyone else in the family eats plain flatbread. Only mine has sugar inside. I ate quickly one flatbread and one bowl of porridge, and I was done. When we stepped out the door, the whole family was there to see us off except Xiao Yong, who was still asleep. Second brother carried the food bag in one hand, held my hand with the other, and had two army green canvas bags slung over his shoulders. One was the big bag Mother packed for me. The other was his own, noticeably smaller. Dad, Mom, big brother, sister-in-law, go back inside. It's cold. I've got her. I waved goodbye, but didn't feel too emotional about it. I'd only been with this family for half a month. A bigger world was waiting for me out there. I didn't get sent to this era just to be a well-fed little fool forever. Second brother's hand was big and warm, and I let him hold mine without complaint. We had to walk to the road outside the village and flag down a passing bus to the county. From there, we transferred to another vehicle to reach the city train station. It was about 6 o'clock when we left. Sunrise wouldn't come for another half hour. Everything was black around us, and second brother didn't even have a flashlight. We walked by moonlight. The village road was just dirt, with snow piled thick on both sides. The middle had been swept but was still crunchy underfoot. Each step made a squeaking sound. After 10 minutes, we reached the main road. Nobody else was around, just the howling north wind. Thank goodness Mother had wrapped a long red scarf around my head and neck before we left. After a few minutes of waiting, I was already freezing. The padded coat was thick, but nothing like a modern down jacket. The wind cut right through it like I was wearing nothing at all. Second brother, when is the bus coming? I asked quietly. My breath came out as a visible cloud of fog. Second brother wore a military hat with ear flaps, a black neck warmer, and a long army green overcoat. He looked much warmer than me.
Should be soon.
A few days ago, it came around this time. We kept looking down the road until a pair of bright headlights appeared in the distance, blinding me instantly. Second brother let go of my hand and started waving both arms so the driver could see us in the dark. The old bus pulled up and stopped. Once it was still, I could read the sign on the front. It had our county's name on it. There weren't many passengers. Most people had large bundles next to them, and most were men. A few women carried baskets full of goods. I figured the men were heading out to find work somewhere far away, and the women were taking homemade products to sell at the county market. Second brother put me in the window seat, so nobody boarding later would bump into me. He sat beside me with both canvas bags and the food bag still in his hands. In this era, thieves are everywhere. If you let your guard down for a second, your things disappear, and you'll never get them back. Xiao Fong, if you're sleepy, lean on my shoulder and nap. It's still an hour to the county. I wasn't really sleepy, just cold. As the bus moved, the sky started to lighten outside. I could see smoke rising from chimneys in the distance, families making breakfast. But somehow, without meaning to, I fell asleep. In my past life, I was a college student glued to my phone every night, never sleeping before midnight. Since arriving here, though, my sleep has been incredible. They say 8 hours is ideal. I've been getting 10, and I feel better than I ever did before. Second brother's broad shoulder was the sturdiest pillow I'd ever had. He stayed awake the entire ride, watching over me and checking on me from time to time. The bus stopped several times along the way, but I slept through all of it. Finally, we arrived at the county bus station. Xiao Fong, wake up. We're here. We need to switch to another bus to get to the city train station. Second brother pulled me off the bus, and I was surprised by how lively the county was. Street vendors were already set up on both sides of the road selling breakfast. The smell of meat buns and fresh soy milk drifted through the air, and before I could stop myself, I was licking my lips. Second brother, being the oblivious man he is, was too busy pulling me along to notice. Luckily, the transfer point wasn't far. We got on the next bus, and it started moving shortly after. This one was also full of people carrying big bundles. Some of them looked like they'd been on our first bus too. By now, it was fully light outside. I didn't sleep on this bus. I pressed my face to the window and watched everything go by. Low single-story buildings lined both sides of the road, and all kinds of shops were already open for business. I noticed a lot of signs saying state-run this and supply cooperative that. State-run grocery store, I could understand, but state-run barbershop? State-run photo studio? That was strange to me. There were also Xinhua bookstores, hardware shops, seed stores, tofu workshops, public bathhouses, clinics, shoe repair stands, bicycle repair spots, key-cutting booths, and breakfast stalls selling fried dough sticks, sesame flatbreads, and soft tofu pudding. I couldn't look away. Everything felt so new and fascinating. The original me had never even been to the county before. I felt sorry for her. She'd missed out on so much. Second brother suddenly placed his hand over mine. That's when I realized my hands were freezing cold. In the rush to leave, I'd forgotten to bring gloves. Xiaofeng, Mom packed eggs and sugar flatbreads for us. I'll let you eat them once we're on the train. When we get to the capital, I'll buy you whatever you want to eat. It's way more fun than the county. I asked some villagers who've been there. They said the capital is huge, many times bigger than our county. There's the Forbidden City, the Great Wall, Tiananmen. If we have time, I'll take you to see all of it. Second brother treated me completely, like a small child. As long as he talked to me in simple, kid-friendly language, I was easy to manage. But my attention was on his hands. He's only 2 years older than me, but his palms were rough and his fingers were covered in thick calluses. He'd been doing farm work for 6 or 7 years. Years of sun and wind had aged him so much that he looked older than eldest brother, who sits in an office. Those calluses came from blisters that bled and hardened over and over again. I thought about how in my past life, a tiny splash of hot oil on my hand had me whining for half the day. It made my heart ache. Second brother, if I wanted to stay in the capital, would you stay with me? I suddenly wanted to know what he thought. The plan was just to cancel the engagement, but after that I wanted to stay. Only a big city offers real opportunities, not some forgotten little village. Second brother looked at me carefully. I could tell he noticed something. I was speaking more clearly than usual, and my words didn't sound like a child's anymore. Maybe he was wondering if I'd gotten smarter. Xiaofeng, you're still young. Marriage isn't for you yet. After we cancel this engagement, I'll show you around the capital for a bit. But our home is in the countryside. I still work in the production team, and when it warms up, I have to be back in the fields. He tried his best to explain. It wasn't about wanting or not wanting to stay. He didn't have much education, and bringing along a sister who supposedly can't take care of herself. How would he support us? Better to just go home. I expected that answer. But my plan was to cancel the engagement first, then find the right moment to tell him the truth, that I'm not a fool anymore, that my mind is completely normal. Then we could figure out something to do together. Having second brother with me would make everything safer. A young woman alone in a big city in this era, if I ran into trouble, there'd be nobody to help. After another hour on the bus, my backside was sore from all the sitting. Finally, we spotted the city train station up ahead. The area in front of the station was packed with far more people than anywhere else I'd seen. Men carried huge bundles on their backs. Some people made a living hauling bags for others. And then there were the children, ragged, dirty kids leading even smaller children, begging for money. If it were just one or two, I wouldn't have thought much of it. But there were groups of them all around the busy station entrance. No adults in sight. I couldn't tell if they'd been placed there by human traffickers or if their own parents had sent them to beg. I watched 2 girls kneel in front of a well-dressed woman. "Auntie, please, we haven't eaten in 2 days. Could you give us some money?" At least they had some sense. They didn't grab the woman's legs with their filthy hands, which would have made her angry. The woman covered her nose. The sour smell coming from those girls meant they hadn't bathed in a long time. She looked like she was about to walk away, but couldn't bring herself to do it. She pulled out 5 mao and dropped it on the ground. Enough for maybe 2 fried dough sticks and a bowl of hot soy milk, or 3 flatbreads, 1 meal at most. Later I realized why none of those begging children had approached me and second brother. One look at him, and anyone could tell he wasn't someone to mess with. They targeted the nicely dressed aunties and kind-looking grandmothers, people with softer hearts. Second brother pulled me by the hand across a narrow gravel road. On both sides, People had set up shacks made of wooden boards and sheet metal, selling roasted sweet potatoes, tea eggs, and hot soy milk. We passed through the station's brick archway entrance. Inside, the place was jammed with people. A few manual ticket-checking stations had workers inspecting paper tickets one by one, punching a hole in each before letting passengers through. There were no security scanners, no bag checks, no ID verification. First-generation national ID cards wouldn't be fully rolled out until 1989, still a few years away. By the time it was our turn, we'd been waiting about 10 minutes. Second brother pushed me ahead of him, so he wouldn't lose me. I stepped through the entrance. A tin trash can sat against the wall. Railway propaganda posters hung nearby with slogans like "Ride safely" and "Travel with civility." A man with a hole punch took our tickets from second brother, glanced at them, punched the holes, and waved us into the waiting hall. Inside to the right was a hot water room and restrooms. Farther in were rows of wooden benches. At the far end was the boarding entrance. The loudspeaker kept announcing ticket checking times for different trains. I was still taking it all in when second brother pulled me toward the restrooms. After sitting on buses for so long, we both needed to go. The train had toilets too, but getting to them would be a nightmare. Green trains are always crammed with standing ticket passengers blocking every aisle. Xiao Fong, can you use the bathroom by yourself? If so, wait for me right at the door when you're done. His tone was like he was talking to a little kid again. I nodded. If I managed to get myself lost in this era, I truly have no face to show anyone. I came out of the women's restroom, and second brother was already waiting. He pointed me toward the sink to wash my hands. After that, we found 2 empty seats in the waiting hall and sat down. We'd left home around 6 in the morning, and now it was already 9:20. About 30 more minutes until we could board the train. My stomach was growling. That one bowl of porridge and a flatbread from dawn was long gone. Just as I was looking around, a peeled boiled egg appeared in front of my face. It was a bit cold, but I didn't care. Xiao Fong, eat an egg to hold you over. We probably won't reach the capital until 8 or 9 tonight. We'll find a small inn and sleep there, then tomorrow I'll take you to find that family. Second brother still wasn't sure if I understood what this trip was really about. His plan was simple: cancel the engagement, show me around the city a bit, like a little vacation. I took the egg, but I noticed he didn't reach into the bag for a second one for himself. I didn't know how many eggs mother had packed. As I happily bit into the egg, I saw a boy sitting across from us staring at it without blinking. He looked hungry. A couple sat next to him with big bundles at their feet, either visiting family or heading somewhere for work. In my past life, I would have given the kid an egg without thinking. But in this era, eggs are precious. Even my own brother won't eat one. I couldn't just hand food to strangers. I turned my head away and stuffed the whole egg into my mouth. The yolk was so dry it got stuck in my throat. Second brother quickly held out the water bottle, and I grabbed it and took 2 big gulps to wash everything down. Between the long ride and having nothing to drink all morning, I was parched. Thanks, second brother. You drink some too. I'd never shared a water bottle with any man before, not in this life or my past one. But this was my own brother, and he'd been taking care of me all day without complaint.
He deserved a drink.
Second brother looked surprised for a moment before taking the bottle. In the original me's entire life, she'd never once said, "Thank you," to family. Going on a trip seemed to be growing me up. Every 15 minutes, a wave of passengers would line up at the boarding gate. When the loudspeaker finally announced our train to the capital, second brother stood, and I jumped up right behind him. The boarding line was a nightmare, people crushing against each other from all sides. Second brother bulldozed his way to the front, shielding me behind his broad back. He already had both tickets in one hand and the food bag in the other. Through the glass window, I caught my first glimpse of the green train sitting at the platform. These old green trains still exist even in the future. Some people actually choose to ride them for the nostalgia. I followed second brother's back until he practically dragged me onto the train. By then I was drenched in sweat. I couldn't believe it. I was actually experiencing the spring festival travel rush in 1985. Second brother had never traveled far either, but he knew enough to check our ticket. It showed a car number and seat number. The train was packed beyond belief. Even the aisles were crammed with people standing shoulder to shoulder. We squeezed through until second brother stopped in front of two seats and spoke to the men sitting there. "Brothers, these are our seats. Here are the tickets. Would you mind?" The two men stood up without even looking. They had standing tickets. They could sit only when the seat owners weren't there. That's just how trains work. We got window seats facing backward, which wasn't ideal, but a million times better than standing. The train slowly pulled away from the station, and the scenery outside began sliding past. Meanwhile, back at home, things were getting messy. On the second day of the new year, all those village kids had happily handed me their lucky money. They wanted me to bring back toys and snacks from the capital. But a few days later, their parents started demanding the money back. Last night, one parent got physical with their kid, and the child finally cracked and told the truth. It was too late to come to our house that evening, but by the next morning, parent after parent showed up at our gate dragging their crying children behind them. Word spread fast, and soon a whole crowd was gathered outside. Father walked out with his hands behind his back. The holiday wasn't even over, and his yard was already full of angry villagers. Mother, eldest brother, the sister-in-law, and little Xiaoyong all came out too. A woman spoke up for the group. "Village chief, glad you're home. Here's the situation. On the second day of New Year, the kids were playing at the threshing ground. Your daughter Yi Zhifeng told them she was going to the capital and tricked them into giving her all their lucky money. We're not trying to cause trouble. Kids don't know any better. Just have your daughter return the money and we'll forget the whole thing." None of these adults believed for a second that the village fool actually went to the capital. They'd lived in this village their whole lives, and most of them had never been farther than the city. They'd never even seen a train. The idea that a girl with an 8-year-old's mind would travel to the capital was laughable to them. Father frowned. He understood what they were saying, but he couldn't believe his daughter had actually tricked children out of their money. "We're talking about real cash here, not candy. Xiaofeng left for the capital with my second son early this morning. She'll be back in a few days. We'll sort this out when she returns. Even if Father wanted to get to the bottom of it, he'd have to wait until I came home." He wasn't about to take these people's word for it without hearing my side first. Back at the village, the parents still couldn't believe I'd actually gone to the capital. "Village chief, is this for real? A trip to the capital costs a fortune. Your Xiaofeng took these kids' lucky money and promised to buy them toys and snacks. Who knows if that's true?" Then little Xiaoyong stepped forward, and I have to give the kid credit for this one. "Aunties, uncles, grandmas, my auntie really did go to the capital. I was at the threshing ground that day too. They gave her the money willingly. She promised to bring back what they asked for. Just wait a few days." The villagers looked at each other. The village chief wouldn't lie, and neither would his grandson. So, the money wasn't coming back right now. They'd just have to wait. But the boy who gave me nearly 30 yuan still got kicked a few times by his parents. "You ungrateful brat. 30 yuan in lucky money, just hand it over like that. You want a game console? Do you know how hard it is to earn money? That's 2 months of living expenses. A game console, can you eat that? Don't ever ask for pocket money again." They came fast and left fast. After they were gone, Father pressed Xiaoyong until he told the whole story of what happened that day. Eldest brother listened carefully and grew suspicious. "Dad, when did little sister get so clever? Something doesn't feel right. And these past few days I noticed her talking to herself, and she can count clearly from 1 to 100. For anyone else, counting to 100 would be nothing. But the original me couldn't do basic addition and subtraction. If she could count to 100, there was no reason she'd fail those problems. But I wasn't home, so there was no way to check. We'll deal with it when they get back, Father said. His chest felt tight, like he'd lost something, but he couldn't explain the feeling. Maybe it was just the emptiness of his daughter being gone for the first time. He'd raised me for 20 years, and suddenly I wasn't there. The whole family was certain the Pei family in the capital wouldn't accept me once they saw my condition. All second brother had to do was hand back the engagement contract and the silver lock, and that would be that. Meanwhile on the train, 2 hours had passed, and my stomach was growling again. Second brother's was too. Second brother, I'm hungry. The train wasn't as cold as outside, but the air was terrible. Sweat, stinky feet, and someone eating raw green onions wrapped in dry tofu. If my breakfast hadn't already been fully digested, I wouldn't have opened my mouth at all. Sitting across from us was a young couple holding a little girl around 3 years old with cute braids. The child hadn't fussed once since we sat down. Well-behaved kid. Second brother had been hungry for a while, but was trying to save money since everything costs more when you're traveling. He opened the bag and checked 5 boiled eggs, 6 sugar flatbreads wrapped in oil paper, and a water bottle about 2/3 full. Xiao Fong, have a sugar flatbread and an egg. 1 flatbread is enough for me. He started peeling an egg for me. But I'd already seen there were 5 eggs in the bag. Mother packed them for both of us, not just me. When he held the peeled egg out to me, I didn't take it. I even put on an annoyed face. Second brother looked confused. He hadn't done anything wrong. Why was I suddenly unhappy? I knew he wouldn't figure it out on his own, so I just said it. Second brother, 1 flatbread isn't enough for you. You need to eat an egg too. I already had 1 before we got on the train. 1 flatbread is plenty for me now.
Eat it.
If you don't eat the egg, I won't eat the flatbread either. I said it completely seriously, and it actually startled him. He wasn't used to this version of me, the one who cares about him back. He had no idea that the person sitting next to him wasn't the old Yi Zhifeng anymore, but someone who wanted to repay his kindness. Xiao Fong, Mom told me to take care of you out here. Since you won't eat it, I'll have it then. When you're hungry later, I'll peel another one for you. He popped the whole egg into his mouth and swallowed it in 3 bites. So much for I don't really like eggs. He loved them. He'd just been giving them all to me this whole time. I took a sip of water and started nibbling on a sugar flatbread. It was cold, but Mother had put real white sugar inside. Every bite tasted sweet all the way down to my heart. After a while, second brother needed the restroom. He asked the young couple across from us to keep an eye on me. The moment he stood up, a middle-aged woman with a standing ticket dropped into his seat to rest. Most people on this train brought nothing but plain flatbread for the journey. Eggs were reserved for the youngest children at home to help them grow strong. Young lady, the woman said, making herself right at home, I've been watching you too this whole trip. That fellow who went to the bathroom, your second brother, right? He's quite handsome and so good to you. Are you two visiting relatives? I didn't want to talk to strangers. I just nodded and turned to look out the window, but she kept going. Young lady, are you married? I'm traveling alone to visit my son at his army base. He's too busy to come home for the holiday. He's very handsome too, and doesn't have a girlfriend yet. The more I look at you, the more I like you. If you two could meet, I'm sure you'd fall for him. The thing is, in this era when most people don't have enough to eat, my family has raised me plump and fair-skinned. I'm not fat exactly, but compared to most girls, I'm a bit rounder. My skin is smooth and well cared for, clearly not the hands or face of someone who does housework. She probably thought I was some rich family's daughter. Everyone nearby perked up their ears. On a long train ride, any drama is entertainment. I wanted to say that I had zero interest in men right now. Making money was all that mattered. I had a whole family to take care of someday. Dating was the last thing on my mind. Just then, second brother squeezed his way back through the crowd. The woman politely stood up, but her eyes stayed fixed on me, waiting for my answer. An idea hit me instantly. I grabbed second brother's arm and acted cute. Second brother, this auntie wants me to marry her son. What does marry mean? The air around us went dead silent. Everyone stared. This girl doesn't know what marriage means? Is she missing something upstairs? I was holding back laughter inside, watching everyone's reactions. Second brother's face had gone cold the moment I said that. The woman tapped his shoulder quickly. Comrade, it's all a misunderstanding. I didn't say your sister should marry my son. I just think she's lovely and maybe they could meet sometime. He might catch her eye. The young wife sitting across from us backed the woman up. That's right, the auntie was just asking if her sister is married. If not, maybe she could meet her son. After everyone explained, second brother's expression softened a little. But his words were blunt. My sister doesn't want to get married. No need for anyone to play matchmaker. The rest of the journey was miserable. I went to the bathroom twice, and each time second brother had to push through the crowd ahead of me to clear a path. Getting back was even harder. The aisle was completely packed with standing passengers. Second brother's bathroom trips were lightning fast. He practically shoved people aside to get there and back. Every single trip to the toilet was a battle. I never sat on a vehicle this long in my life. It was torture. I dozed off a few times but could never really sleep. People talking, the clacking of the train on the tracks, it all kept pulling me awake. When the sky turned completely dark and we still hadn't arrived, I started getting restless. Second brother, when are we getting to the capital? My butt is killing me. It wasn't just us. Every passenger on the train had lost the energy they had when they first boarded. Heads drooping, half asleep, half dead. The long ride had drained everyone. Second brother didn't have a watch, but he guessed it was past 6. Maybe 2 more hours to go. Xiaofeng, we're really almost there. Just hold on a bit longer. How about we each eat an egg and a flatbread, then sleep a little, and we'll be there before you know it. He'd learned his lesson. If he didn't eat, I wouldn't eat either. So this time he made sure we both had equal portions. I nodded. This was our second meal on the train. After this, we'd have 2 eggs and 2 flatbreads left, just barely enough for tomorrow's breakfast. At 8:30, the train finally pulled into the station. Most passengers were people coming to the capital to visit family or find work. Everyone looked exhausted, unsure where to go next. When second brother and I stepped onto the platform, we couldn't even tell which direction was which. It was too late to show up at the Pei family's door, so we needed to find a place to sleep. If second brother were alone, he would have just slept on a bench in the waiting hall to save money. But with me, he had to find a proper inn. We followed the crowd out to the station square. The public buses had already stopped running for the night. Only a few food vendors and people holding signs for inns were still around. Need a room? 3 yuan a night, hot water included. As we walked, second brother realized how expensive the capital was. 3 yuan for 1 night, that was 3 days of his wages back home. He pulled me along for about a kilometer until we reached a quieter street. A small inn had a sign out front saying rooms were available. A dim light glowed inside. Second brother decided to check the price. Inside, a middle-aged woman sat dozing behind a desk. No TV, no entertainment, just her sitting there guarding the place. Second brother tapped the desk lightly. "Ma'am, how much for 2 people?" She opened her eyes, squinted, then put on her glasses. 2 young people stood in front of her. In this era, there's no ID check, no marriage certificate needed. If you have money, you can get a room. Just pay first. You want a shared room or a double? Shared room is 2 yuan 30 per bed. Double room is 2 yuan 50 per bed. She sounded annoyed. We'd interrupted her sleep, and we didn't look like we had money. Second brother winced. People outside were charging 3 yuan per night, and here it was 5 yuan for 2 people. That seemed more expensive. "Ma'am, other places are 3 yuan a night. How come yours costs more?" He tried to bargain. 5 yuan for 1 night felt like robbery. "Comrade, 3 yuan is the price for 1 bed. My place charges 250 per bed in a private double room. You tell me which is cheaper. Can't even figure that out? Are you staying or not? If not, go look around. I'm the cheapest one in this area." She wasn't pushy, and she wasn't rude. Being near the train station, she never lacked customers. Second brother's heart ached, but he looked back at me standing there exhausted and decided to take the room. "We'll take one. Do you have hot water?" She grabbed a set of keys. 5 yuan, pay first. There's a wash basin and towel in the room. I'll bring up a kettle of hot water. Bathrooms at the end of the hallway, running water there. Check out by noon tomorrow, or you'll be charged for another day. Second brother pulled out 5 yuan and handed it over. His heart was bleeding. Between the train tickets and now this, he'd already spent 65 yuan, and he hadn't even bought return tickets yet. Father gave him 200 total. At this rate, he'd need to save every coin from here on out. Next time, he swore he'd sleep in the waiting hall. To put the prices in perspective, this was a low-end inn. Slightly nicer places charged 3 yuan per bed. Government-run hotels and guest houses cost 650 to 750 per bed. That would be 15 yuan for both of us for 1 night. Practically highway robbery. It was nearly 9 o'clock when second brother finally led me to our room. What we found inside was nothing like what he'd imagined. The room was damp and freezing. No heater, no nothing. Outside it was about -5 degrees, and inside was maybe 5 or 6 degrees, barely better. I could see my own breath. Two single beds sat against opposite walls with a small square table between them. Two glass cups sat on top, clearly not cleaned properly. Behind the door was a metal wash basin with a yellowish towel hanging above it. The bedding on both beds smelled like mold. I seriously wondered if sleeping here would make us sick. In 2 lifetimes, I'd never seen a room this terrible. It was worse than our farmhouse back home. I couldn't believe people actually stayed here. The woman from downstairs came in carrying a kettle of hot water and set it on the table, without ceremony. Keep your belongings close. Lock the door from inside when you sleep. The place is basic, but you get what you pay for. The government hotel is nicer, sure, but have you seen their prices? At least here you have a bed. If you need anything, come find me at the front. It's late. Wash up and get some sleep. She knew the conditions were bad. That's exactly why the price was so low. And the money was already paid, no refunds. After she left, second brother put down the bags and looked at me still standing there. He could tell I was struggling. Xiaofeng, let me get you some water to wash your face, then go to sleep early. It's not as warm as home, so don't take your clothes off, just lie down as you are. While he went to get water, I walked to my bed and lifted the quilt. The mold smell hit me even harder.
How was I supposed to sleep under this thing?
For a moment, I wanted to die all over again. Second brother came back with cold water and mixed in hot water from the kettle. Steam rose from the basin. Then, he surprised me. He pulled a brand new white towel from his own bag. Xiaofeng, conditions are rough here. Wash your hands and face first. Use my towel. What I really wanted was to wash my feet. I'd been in those cotton shoes all day, and they didn't smell great. After I washed my face, second brother didn't waste a second. He used my leftover water to quickly wash his own face, then set the basin on the floor for me to soak my feet. I didn't argue. I couldn't wash my socks, but soaking my tired feet helped. I peeled off my socks myself. If this were anyone other than my brother, I'd never let them see me in such a sorry state. For drying my feet, I used that nasty yellowish towel. When you're traveling, you don't use strange towels unless you have no choice. You never know what the last person wiped with it. 1 basin of water served us both, face washing and foot soaking. Second brother dumped it out and came back. He could see I was miserable about the bed. Without a word, he pulled out a set of his own clothes from his bag and laid them flat on my bed sheet as a barrier. I lay down on top of them with my clothes still on. Then he took off his army green overcoat and draped it over me, followed by that smelly quilt on top. Better to have it than not. One night without covers, and I'd definitely get sick. Second brother locked the door from inside. A dim light from the hallway leaked through, just enough to barely make out the other person's shape. He climbed under his own moldy quilt without removing a single piece of clothing. One night, he could handle it. I thought I'd never fall asleep, but second brother's overcoat was incredibly warm. It smelled like him, and somehow that was comforting. Before I knew it, I drifted off. I had a long dream. I dreamed about my life before the transmigration. Everything played back, like a movie. I saw myself at the swimming pool, my calf suddenly cramping, sinking below the surface. The lifeguards weren't paying attention. By the time someone noticed, it was too late. The paramedics came, the ambulance came, they tried everything. They couldn't save me. I saw my own funeral. My college friends came. My high school friends. Middle school. Elementary school. Everyone I'd been close to was there. My parents were crying so hard they could barely stand. Then I watched my body being pushed into the cremation furnace. Cold sweat flooded through me. There was no going back. My original body was gone. I could never return. This era, this life, this was all I had now. Xiaofeng, wake up. Why are you covered in sweat? Second brother's voice pulled me out of the dream. He'd gotten up at dawn. During the night, he'd pulled my kicked-off quilt back over me. Now in the morning light, he saw sweat on my forehead and worried I was getting sick. I sat up, still shaking from what I'd seen. In the dream, I tried to hug my parents, but nobody could see me. I could only watch helplessly as everyone cried for me. I took the towel second brother handed me and wiped my face. No fever. Thank goodness. Second brother, I'm fine. I just had a dream. I didn't want to talk about what I saw. I'd treat that dream as my farewell to the past. Second brother poured the remaining hot water into our travel bottle and set out the last 2 sugar flatbreads and 2 eggs. Our breakfast. I didn't blame him for being so careful with money. The capital's prices were insane. His entire month's wages back home wouldn't last more than a few days here. Xiao Feng, after we eat I'll check out. I'll ask the woman downstairs which bus to take to find that family. Let's get this done first. If it goes smoothly, we can buy return tickets tonight or tomorrow. We'd been here barely 1 day, and second brother already wanted to leave. So much for his promise to show me around the city. That plan was clearly dead. My mind was racing. I needed to figure out how to stay in the capital. Housing was the biggest problem. I could figure out what kind of work to do later. Second brother took my silence as agreement. He had no idea I was carrying almost 200 yuan hidden in my coat, money I'd carefully gathered for the sole purpose of staying behind in the city. By 8 in the morning, we were standing outside the inn ready to go. The letter only had an address, no phone number, so second brother would have to ask for directions the whole way. That address is in a military family housing area, the inn woman said casually. Take the bus in that direction. Should be about half an hour. We got on a crowded public bus heading toward the military district. Second brother kept me tucked in front of him so nobody could push against me, even with people pressing in from all sides. I stared out the window the entire ride. This version of the capital looked nothing like the one I knew from 40 years in the future. If it weren't for the road signs, I would have thought we were in some random, mid-sized city. When we got off, the area felt completely different from the train station neighborhood. Military uniforms were everywhere, along with women and children. This was clearly a military family compound. Second brother checked the letter again. We were in the right area, but there was no house number. We'd have to ask around. He took my hand, and we walked toward a group of older women chatting together. They were military wives with nothing better to do than gossip. Excuse me, do you know the Pei family? The one with a third son named Pei Shouting? Do you know where they live? Second brother asked politely. I kept quiet and put on my blank face. We were about to arrive at the Pei house. Time to get into character. Oh, you mean Brigade Commander Pei's family. Yes, his son is called Pei Shouting. They live just up ahead. Keep walking straight. It's the only house with its own courtyard. There's a plaque by the door that says Glorious Military Family and a big tree out front. Biggest yard in this area. You can't miss it. Want me to walk you there? The woman holding sunflower seeds was already getting up to lead us, but second brother stopped her. You've described it so well. We can find it ourselves. Thank you. I thought to myself, second brother actually has pretty good manners when he's out in public. We hadn't walked more than a few steps when I heard the women whispering behind us. What's the deal with those two? Holding hands in public. How shameless. Wonder what relation they are to the Pei family. I looked down at second brother's big hand wrapped around mine. Can't the brother hold his sister's hand? Apparently not without people talking. Where there are women, there's gossip. Their mouths, their business. Look at how they're dressed. Definitely not city people. Must be from the countryside. I've never heard of the Pei family having rural relatives. Probably some distant relation looking for work. As we walked, I studied the surroundings. Most buildings were row houses occupied by families of officers at company and battalion level. Lower-ranking soldiers didn't get family housing at all. Only officers at regiment level and above got their own private courtyards. Soon enough, we stood in front of a house with a Glorious Military Family plaque by the gate and a big leafless tree beside it. The gate was made of iron, couldn't see inside at all. Second brother let go of my hand and stepped forward. He knocked hard on the metal gate. At this point, only the mother and the youngest child, their daughter Pei Shouting, were home. Shouting heard the knocking and ran out. Who is it? She called from inside without opening the gate. Second brother relaxed a little. At least someone was home. He'd been worried the house would be empty and we'd waste another day. Hello, I'm here to see Uncle Pei. Is he home? Second brother didn't know the father's full name. Only that his surname was Pei, and that the third son was called Pei Shouting. Xiaoning figured it was probably some old army buddy's kid visiting her father. That happened from time to time. She opened the gate. Standing before her were two young people. The man carried 2 canvas bags and the woman carried nothing. No gifts, no offerings. What kind of visitors show up empty-handed? I watched her expression change as she looked us up and down. She was wearing a red wool coat, a white sweater underneath, black tall boots, and styled curly hair. A total city fashion girl. And there I was in my bulky padded pants, padded jacket, padded shoes, and 2 braids. Standing next to her, I looked like a complete country bumpkin. Xiaoning's face darkened. She could tell from our clothes that we were from the countryside. She probably assumed we were here to ask her father for favors. Ever since her father became brigade commander, people showed up constantly wanting help, but her father always followed proper procedures and never pulled strings for anyone. My dad isn't home. He won't be back until after work tonight. Maybe come back then. She was clearly trying to get rid of us, hoping we'd give up and never come back. Second brother's temper flared. The Pei family had written to us, invited us to come, and now their daughter was trying to shoo us away at the door? If this was how they treated country people, then this engagement absolutely needed to be cancelled. If Uncle Pei isn't home, then is Annie here? I need to speak with her. Second brother grabbed my hand and pushed past Xiaoning straight into the courtyard, ignoring her completely. You're trespassing. This is private property. I can report you, she shouted behind us. The commotion reached inside the house. The mother must have been wondering what was going on. She'd only asked her daughter to answer the door. When she appeared in the doorway, she saw 2 young people marching hand in hand across her courtyard. Her face wasn't friendly either. The woman standing in the doorway had a kind face, but there was something cold and unapproachable about her. My first impression was not good. This is a military family compound, not a place you can just walk into whenever you please. If you have something to say to me, say it right here. I gave her a 0 in my head. This was the family that wanted me to marry their son? They could offer me a mountain of gold, and I still wouldn't marry into this household. Second brother got straight to the point. Annie, before the new year, Uncle Pei sent a letter to our home. I brought my sister here to discuss canceling the engagement. I have the betrothal contract and the silver lock Uncle Pei gave us. Just return the contract our family sent and we'll leave immediately. Second brother had no good feelings about these people either. Brigade commander or whatever, it meant nothing to him. Being a decent farmer was better than any military title. The mother's expression changed the instant she heard, cancel the engagement. She clearly hadn't expected that. She knew how much her husband valued this arrangement. Even though he hadn't consulted her at the time, he'd made it clear many times that he owed the Yi family a life debt that had to be repaid. Oh my, you must be the Yi family. And this young lady is Yi Zhifang? What a beautiful girl. Come inside, come inside. Let's talk about this properly. No need to rush. Her whole attitude flipped in a second. Second brother didn't know who she was exactly, but anyone living in this courtyard had to be connected to Uncle Pei. We'd been walking in the cold for about an hour since leaving the inn, so going inside sounded good. The daughter, Pei Xiaoning, locked the gate and followed us in looking completely confused. What was happening? And what was this about canceling an engagement? Whose engagement? As I entered the courtyard, I noticed the place was genuinely impressive. Rooms on both sides, with the main house facing south, the biggest one. This was a proper compound. The mother almost asked us to change shoes, but she looked at our dusty cotton shoes and thought better of it. She probably figured our feet wouldn't smell great after being stuffed in those shoes all day. Can't blame her. Second brother and I sat side by side on their sofa. A normal guest would sit quietly and look at the host. But I was playing a fool, so I did the opposite. I started looking around at everything with wide eyes. The living room had a leather sofa, a coffee table covered with different fruits, and in the corner, a television that was on. Not just any television, a 20-inch color TV. In this era, having a color TV meant serious money. Back home, we only had a tiny black and white one. Xiaoning sat next to her mother and whispered, "Mom, who are these people? And what engagement contract is he talking about? Who's engaged to whom?" The mother whispered back, "Don't ask so many questions. Call your father right now. Tell him the Yi family is here and he needs to come home immediately. She didn't have the authority to handle this herself. Better to let her husband deal with it. Xiaoning looked annoyed but picked up the phone anyway. The call went through quickly. Dad, Mom says the Yi family is here. She wants you home right away. On the other end, the brigade commander got excited. He couldn't believe the Yi family had come so soon. Could it be the old brother Yi himself?
Guard.
Get a car ready. I'm going home now. Within minutes, he was in a military jeep, grinning the whole way. Even Xiaoning could hear the happiness in her father's voice over the phone. Were the Yi family really that important? Meanwhile, the mother sat there struggling to make conversation. She thought I was pretty sure but terribly rude, staring at everything in the house instead of sitting politely. She wasn't thrilled about the idea of me as a daughter-in-law. Xiaoning, we have guests. Pour them some hot water. They've come a long way. She said nothing about the engagement cancellation second brother had raised. But my mind was already made up. This engagement was getting cancelled no matter what. Xiaoning reluctantly brought us each a cup of hot water from the kitchen. Second brother hadn't taken the canvas bags off his shoulders since sitting down. He wanted to settle everything the moment Uncle Pei arrived and leave as fast as possible. One look at this house told him our families were worlds apart. And with my condition, living with a wealthy family like this would only mean suffering. I was thirsty, so I picked up the cup. The water was scalding hot. I hadn't expected that, and it burned my fingers. I quickly set it down. Second brother, look, my finger got burned. I squeezed out a few tears with everything I had. It did sting a little, but honestly, it wasn't that bad. I needed to sell the act. Second brother grabbed my hand, saw the reddened skin, and immediately started comforting me. Xiao Feng, don't cry. Let second brother blow on it, and it won't hurt anymore. The mother shifted uncomfortably. Was this girl really so delicate that a cup of hot water made her cry? She had the body of a pampered princess, but apparently none of the toughness to go with it. I noticed her studying my hands, plump, soft, and white. Not the hands of someone who works in the fields. The Yi family had clearly raised me without ever making me lift a finger. I could practically read her thoughts. She probably suspected my family had raised me like a precious jewel on purpose, hoping to marry me into a rich city family, so I could live the easy life. Her first impression of me was terrible, and I could tell she didn't like me at all. In her mind, climbing into the Pei family wouldn't be so easy. Xiaoning sat there rolling her eyes. It was just a cup of water. She'd carried both cups over without flinching. How could someone be this fragile? Then the sound of a car engine came from outside. Xiaoning jumped up and ran out immediately. Through the door, I could see a man pushing open the gate and striding across the courtyard with big, energetic steps. Xiaoning, get inside. It's freezing. You'll catch a cold dressed like that, his booming, cheerful voice carried all the way into the room. When he walked in and saw us on the sofa, he didn't recognize either of us. But his daughter had told him the Yi family was here, so we had to be old brother Ye's children. Second brother stood up right away. I stayed seated, holding my water cup and sipping slowly. I was playing a fool. No need for me to be polite or stand for the host. So I just sat there, acting like I hadn't noticed anyone walk in. Uncle Pei walked in and looked at both of us. He didn't seem to care that I hadn't stood up to greet him. Second brother had already pulled out the yellowed envelope and the silver lock from my bag. You must be Uncle Pei. My name is Yi Zhiheng, the second son in the Yi family. I already told Auntie. This is my father's wish and the whole family's wish. We came to cancel the childhood engagement. Here's the betrothal contract you wrote and the silver lock you sent. Second brother held them out with both hands. Uncle Pei didn't take them, so second brother set everything on the coffee table. Uncle Pei had imagined many possible outcomes from this visit, but canceling the engagement was not one of them. Comrade Yi, don't rush. Sit down and tell me, what is your family unhappy about? Is there some other reason? He couldn't figure out what the Yi family could possibly object to. His family's conditions were perfectly fine by military standards. Second brother glanced at me, then decided to tell the truth. He just hoped it wouldn't hurt me. Uncle Pei, I'll be honest. My sister Yi Zhifeng is past 20, old enough for marriage. But she's different from other people. Our mother had a difficult birth, and although my sister seemed normal at first, after she turned 8, her behavior and intelligence stopped developing. The family couldn't bear to make her suffer, so she's never done any housework or continued school. With her condition, marriage isn't suitable. Our family sent me here specifically to cancel the engagement. Second brother reached over and took my hand, feeling sorry for me. I was thinking, just agree to the cancellation already. I've almost finished my hot water. They're not going to keep us for lunch, are they? Then the daughter Pei Xiaoning burst out laughing from the side. Dad, so she's a fool. You arranged for third brother to marry a fool? Do you really think he'd agree to this? I lifted my head and put on my most innocent face. Second brother. The kids in our village call me little dummy. Now this big sister is calling me a fool too. What does fool mean? That cut deep into second brother's heart. He snapped at her without holding back. Young lady, watch your mouth. My sister is just simple-minded. She's not a fool. If I hear anyone call her that again, I'll rip their mouth apart. Uncle Pei turned on his daughter. Shouting, go to your room and do your homework. You're about to start your senior year. Act like it. Shouting stomped off angrily. Being called big sister by a fool 2 years older than her. That stung. She was only 18. She didn't close her door all the way though. She wanted to keep listening. The mother was unhappy too. Her husband had made this arrangement without consulting her, and now it turned out he'd engaged their third son to someone with a mental disability. She wanted this cancelled just as much as we did. Second brother and I sat waiting for Uncle Pei's answer. What came out of his mouth was not what we expected. You've come a long way. Stay here a few days first. I'll have Shouting come home to meet you. And I'm keeping this engagement. If your father hadn't jumped into the water and pulled me out, I'd be dead. I can never forget that. He was dead set on having me marry his son. Even if I couldn't do a thing around the house, he said they could afford to take care of one more person. Just an extra pair of chopsticks at the table. Second brother hadn't expected this at all. Why couldn't Uncle Pei understand? But then he thought, meeting Pei Shouting might actually be a good thing. Once the son sees my condition and refuses, the engagement would cancel itself. Uncle Pei set us up in 2 guest rooms on the left side of the courtyard. The rooms were fully furnished with everything we needed, including heaters. Once the fire was lit, the rooms warmed up nicely. Second brother put the betrothal contract and silver lock back into my bag for now. All we could do was wait for Pei Shouting to come home. Maybe by noon. Xiao Feng, since Uncle Pei won't let us leave, we'll stay for now. Should be able to go home in a day or 2. All second brother could think about was getting back home. Being away meant spending money everywhere and feeling out of place. In the other room, Uncle Pei told his wife, I'll call Shouting's unit. These 2 clearly haven't eaten. Make extra food for lunch. We'll all eat together. He picked up his enamel mug and sipped his tea like always. The mother had no appetite for any of this. The Yi family came to cancel, just give them back the contract and be done with it. Why make it so complicated? Old Pei Shouting is restless and playful by nature. He'll never agree to this marriage. Why don't we just do what they're asking and cancel it? Uncle Pei's face gave nothing away.
You don't understand.
Without old brother Yi, you wouldn't be living in this big house. You'd still be crammed together with the kids in a tiny room. A person should never forget where they came from. That man saved my life. I can't be heartless about this. If people in the army found out, I'd lose my position as brigade commander. A few people had witnessed the engagement being arranged back then. This wasn't something he could just sweep away. The mother sighed and went to the kitchen. Her husband wanted the visitors to stay for lunch, so she'd cook. But she figured once their son came home and refused, her husband would have no choice. Uncle Pei called the army base. The operator said they'd pass the message to Pei Shouting right away. Out on the training field, Pei Shouting was drilling his men. Pick up the pace. Keep up with the formation. Did none of you eat breakfast? All 3 Pei sons served in the military, but in different units. They lived on base and only came home for holidays. Company Commander Pei, Brigade Commander Pei just called personally. He wants you home by noon. Says there are guests at the house. Pei Shouting shrugged. What kind of guests required him to come home in person? But since it was his own father calling, he'd go. Maybe it was about his recent promotion. The truth was, if Pei Xiaoding hadn't been promoted to company commander before the new year, his father wouldn't have even thought about the marriage. In the military, only officers at company commander level and above can apply for permission to marry. And on top of that, the bride wasn't getting any younger. He couldn't keep her waiting forever. The mother kept up her manners despite everything and got busy in the kitchen. She went all out frying, stir-frying, braising everything. Second brother went outside and found some wood to light the stoves in both guest rooms so we'd be warm if we rested. Xiao Feng, don't worry. We'll probably leave after lunch. If you're tired, take a nap. I'm not going anywhere. The guest room was actually nice, soft, clean bedding, warm once the stove got going. But with nothing to do and no TV, it was boring. Second brother, I'll sleep a bit. Wake me when it's time to eat. Around noon, another military jeep pulled up outside. A man in uniform walked through the gate. Second brother noticed him, but couldn't see his face. It didn't matter anyway. We were here to cancel an engagement, not make friends. The moment this man stepped inside the house, Xiaoning pulled him into her room and shut the door tight. Third brother, Dad called you back because of a childhood engagement he arranged for you. The girl is here, and she's a fool. I have no idea what Dad was thinking. Xiaoning was furious on her brother's behalf. Her handsome third brother marrying a fool? That would humiliate him in front of the entire army. Pei Xiaoding couldn't believe it. What kind of grudge did his father have against him? He'd never known about any engagement. And why him instead of his two older brothers who were still single? If the girl was really a fool, there was no way he'd agree. When he came out of Xiaoning's room, his father was sitting on the sofa. He didn't look surprised that his son had gotten the story from his sister first. Shouting, "Go help your mother bring the food to the table. Then call the two guests from the guest rooms to eat." Pei Xiaoding opened his mouth to argue but swallowed his words. His father was his commanding officer at work and at home. Talking back was never an option. Soon all 6 of us sat around the dining table, the 4 Pei family members plus second brother, and me. 8 dishes were spread across the table, and everyone had a bowl of steaming white rice. I didn't look at Pei Xiaoding sitting across from me. I didn't care what he looked like. This engagement was getting cancelled regardless. Instead, I stared straight at the plate of braised pork sitting right in front of me. The color alone made my mouth water. I let drool actually dribble down the corner of my lips, playing the fool to perfection. Since I hadn't spoken a word the entire time, Pei Xiaoding had been studying me. He probably wondered if I was mute on top of being simple-minded. But watching me drool over a plate of meat killed whatever appetite he had. What kind of girl behaves like this? Uncle Pei didn't say a word about it. He just picked up a piece of braised pork with his chopsticks and placed it in my bowl. "Xiao Feng, I heard your brother call you that, so I'll use the same name. You must be starving. We didn't make anything special, but eat up. Don't go hungry." He'd never served food to anyone at the table before, not at home, not in the army. This was a first. Both Xiaoning and Xiaoding stared in disbelief. Why was their father being so nice to this fool? I lifted my head and took the handkerchief second brother handed me to wipe my mouth. "You should all eat too. I haven't had braised pork in so long. And that one looks good too." I pointed at the hairtail fish sitting near second brother. Uncle Pei was about to serve me a piece, but second brother stopped him. "Uncle Pei, my sister can't spit out fish bones. Let me handle it." And he did. He picked the biggest fish, carefully removed every single bone, even the tiny hair-thin ones, and placed the clean meat in my bowl. Uncle Pei smiled. The Yi family's second son truly took good care of his sister. And a big appetite was a sign of good fortune. His family could afford to feed one more person. Pei Xiaoding kept waiting for his father to formally introduce the 2 guests, but his father never did. So, he just ate his meal with a distracted look on his face. I didn't care about anyone else at that table. 3 meals of nothing but sugar flatbread and boiled eggs had left me starving. Good food was right here, so I ate with everything I had. This might be our last meal at the Pei house. Second brother kept piling food into my bowl, fish, pork, and he even peeled shrimp for me by hand. We'd never eaten shrimp before, but we knew it was expensive, a rich family's food. "Second brother, these shrimp are so good. You eat some too." I rarely talked during the meal, but I made sure second brother got a share. As for the Pei family, they were strangers to me. Between the two of us, we ate about half of everything on the table. Second brother didn't even spare the soup.
I had 2 bowls of rice.
Second brother had 3. Together we outate all 4 members of the Pei family combined. The mother was clearly annoyed. She wished she'd made something simpler. We devoured the best dishes like we'd never seen good food before. She should have saved some for herself. After the meal, second brother helped me to the sofa. I had zero intention of sitting properly. I just flopped back and sprawled out lazily. Full stomach, no desire to move. Xiaoning glared at me while helping her mother clear the dishes. This fool really thought she was some kind of princess. No manners at the table, no manners anywhere. Her third brother would never want someone like me. Pei Xiaoting had figured out the situation by now. Living with a woman like this? He'd rather die. He was about to sneak away when his father stopped him. Xiaoting, sit down. I have something to tell you. Here it comes. Xiaoting sat on the sofa reluctantly. At least second brother was sitting between us, so he didn't have to face me directly. Second brother, I want to watch TV, I announced. This was my habit, eat then TV. Even at someone else's house, I wasn't changing my routine. Uncle Pei had been about to start talking but closed his mouth again. No point arguing with a fool. He could only say that to himself, of course. He turned on the TV. Next to him, Pei Xiaoting sat with a dark, stormy expression, looking like he was about to explode at any moment, staring at me as I lounged across the sofa, without a care in the world.